In today's video, we're going to go through one easy method of knowing that you're in your aerobic training zone, and it's so simple you don't need technology or fancy gadgets to do it. This will help you to run better, smarter, and to be honest, just enjoy your running more in general. We'll go through the science of why it actually works, and I'll give you some practical demonstrations of it too. Now, I love this method because it helps people to have fun with their running and not feel exhausted afterwards and constantly beaten up. You've probably heard of lots of different methods for keeping in your aerobic training zone, like using heart rate, power, or pace. All have their own pros and cons, but honestly, this is my favorite just because it's so simple. And it's the ability to breathe through your nose fully whilst exercising. Now you might think this isn't very exciting or helpful, but give me a moment to explain it and how you can use it, because I promise that you'll learn something you can apply to your own running or exercise. You'll be able to avoid the trap that a lot of people fall into, which really harms their training. So you probably already know this, but in simple terms, we breathe in oxygen and we breathe out carbon dioxide. Normally we're at a stable level of gases in our body and our breathing rate is regular. You may have also heard about the pH scale and that our blood should be between 7.35 and 7.45. We have various mechanisms to help keep it in this stable range, and your body makes it a priority to do so. Now, this is important when it comes to exercise and our aerobic training zone. We're going to keep things simple here, but hopefully I can explain this in a way that's useful for you. Hopefully. We have three energy systems, but the end result is the same in that we produce energy for ourselves to use. We also get some byproducts or waste as a result, and that does depend on what energy system we use, but the main ones are carbon dioxide, water, lactate, and specifically free hydrogen ions associated with lactate. Now, when we exercise, the byproducts of respiration, so carbon dioxide, water, and lactate, are created at a faster rate. These byproducts start to make the environment around your muscles and your blood more acidic, and your body doesn't like that. Remember when I mentioned that your body likes to keep the blood pH in a narrow range, so an accumulation starts to put this out of kilter. Sometimes these byproducts build up at a rate that's fast enough that if your body didn't change anything, these would start to accumulate and have negative effects. So how does your body balance this? Well, one of the mechanisms is to increase your breathing or your respiratory rate, because you can breathe out those byproducts. Well, for total clarity, we don't breathe out the lactate. We actually use that in a different cycle and it's very helpful, but it's the hydrogen ions associated with that which we care about here. So anyway, you start to breathe a little faster and harder to compensate for that buildup of byproducts. But linking this back to your training, that turning point where you go from being able to breathe in fully through your mouth whilst exercising to having to breathe that little bit harder is what's referred to as your first ventilatory threshold. Research suggests that this is probably, for most people, between 50 and 75% of their VO2 max. So essentially, if you can breathe in fully whilst exercising, you can be sure you're in that aerobic training zone. So right now, I can happily talk and record this whilst running, and I could keep this pace up for ages. I'm now running at a faster pace, and although this isn't easy, it's not necessarily hard either. I know I can keep this pace up for some time because this was my half marathon pace a couple of years ago, and I'm fitter now than I was then. So I don't have to stop, and a 30 or 40 minute run is not going to challenge me overly, but I can't breathe in fully and talk comfortably, as you can probably tell, and I'm definitely out of that easy aerobic zone. But it isn't that hard, and this is a trap that a lot of people fall into. I think let's finish up back here when I can actually talk properly. So because that pace doesn't feel particularly difficult over 30 minutes or even up to an hour, the trap is that you always exercise at that sort of intensity. Sure, it might get a little burny, but it isn't that hard. And actually sometimes that burning is kind of nice and makes you feel good. But when you repeat that sort of intensity again and again, it really starts to creep up. You never really have truly aerobic sessions, so you don't get that benefit. And commonly you can't actually do your genuinely hard sessions as well as you'd like because you're already fatigued. And this is a big mistake I see for a lot of people. This sort of training takes its toll and leaves people feeling beaten up, miserable, and like they don't want to carry on training. So use this easy method of being able to breathe in fully through your nose when you're doing your easy aerobic training sessions, and you'll make your training so much more enjoyable and productive. Go hard when you're meant to go hard. Go easy when you're meant to go easy. Now, if you're like me and you use a fitness watch, you might wonder whether the predicted VO2 max that it gives you is accurate. I did a video where I compared my Garmin VO2 max to what my actual VO2 max was when I did some lab testing, so I could see how accurate it was. And you can watch that by clicking the video next to me. If you haven't already, then please do give this video a like by pressing the thumbs up, and press the subscribe and the notification icon. And have fun with your training, and I will catch you next time.